Hey, welcome back to another update of my Canadian dividend investing portfolio. So what I'm doing in this channel, if you're new, is basically I'm a Canadian investor. I'm buying and selling mostly dividend paying stocks using Wealthsimple Trade and documenting my journey with this custom Google Sheet that I made and kind of sharing the whole steps, the whole process and every step that I make along the way. So in this video, I'm just going to go over kind of how my portfolio has been doing up until now. I've been at it for about the last 11 months or so, and I'm going to run through the exact trades that I made today and then kind of wrap up at the end and come back and see how some of these summary items have changed. So to get started, finally, my stock value in my portfolio has finally crossed $50,000. That's awesome. That's a life first for me. I've never had $50,000 saved up for anything, and let alone all being in stocks. So I'm really pumped on that. The available cash is just like ignore this because I actually deposited money after I made the trades, but basically earlier on today I had around $400 to spend, which is what I'll show you what I spent it on, and then I put in another 400 for basically kind of later in the week and maybe a little bit into next week as well. But basically, since I started 11 months ago in September of 2020, I'm up $3,800. So that's awesome. That's 8% basically. And I didn't exactly put everything in, I didn't make one lump sum deposit back in September and make 8% basically in the last year. I've been kind of depositing in a few $100s per month, and then actually about a month ago or 2 months ago, I did drop in, I doubled my portfolio, so I put in about $25,000 in a lump sum, and I made a video on that about why that happened. Basically, I had some finally access to some money of mine, and that's why you see a large jump in the dividends between these 2 months. So anyways, I'm pretty pumped on the 8% return as well, like I said, because most of the money is actually recent and hasn't had time yet to grow. So I'm thinking 8% is pretty good for my circumstances. So like I said, all of the stocks are dividend stocks, almost all of them, I guess. The average yield is around 4%. And if you're not familiar with what dividends are, basically companies, big companies that pay dividends just give you money for holding the stock or holding the shares. My average amount of money that they give me is 4.08%. So you can imagine that for every $100 I have invested in this portfolio, I'm going to get paid out $4.08 per year, basically as a benefit to holding those stocks, whether or not the actual price of the stocks goes up or down. So that's something I really like about dividends. And yeah, that money just goes into my brokerage account, basically into my Wealthsimple account, and I just use it to buy more stocks and reinvest to kind of get this compounding effect. But if you take 4.08% and you multiply it by the amount of stocks that I have, so $50,298, you're going to see that we're around $2,050 in passive income from these dividends. And that's awesome. That's pure cash flow. That's not money that's necessarily tied up in stocks. I do buy new stocks with it, but if I wanted to, I could stop buying new stocks and I would just have this cash flow. Works out to about $170, $171 a month, which is pretty great. Not necessarily enough to live off of in Canada, but definitely covering quite a few expenses at this point and is continuing to grow. So at the end of the video, I'm going to show you how this annual dividend income increases based on the purchases that I made that I'll show you also as we go forward. So looking at the sectors here, this is basically just a breakdown. Like I said, when I put in this $25,000 recently, I bought mostly real estate stocks. They were a good buy at the time. They were late recovery, from last year and everything that happened. And before that, I was already pretty heavily invested in utilities. And then I got a couple other sectors in here. We can get a quick idea of the holdings breakdown, and I'll show you in the next screen as well. But here's the pie chart. You can see basically most of the big ones here are real estate stocks or real estate investment trusts. So looking in at the portfolio, this is awesome to see. Let's actually sort it so we have the percentage of holding, the biggest holdings at the top. Lots of green and a couple of red ones down at the bottom, and I'll get into that in a second. So some of these ones are making up over 10% or close to 10% of my holdings in individual stocks. That is way over invested in my opinion. I don't like being that exposed to certain stocks, let alone this whole industry. But like I said, they were good buys at the time. And what I'm trying to do as I go forward is buy more shares of my positions or companies that I'm invested in that are towards the bottom half of my portfolio, as long as they still present a good buy. So some of the ones that I was looking at today, which I purchased, were Canadian National Railway, Toronto Dominion Bank, Savaria Corp, and I think Manulife Financial. I already forget which ones I purchased because I did this in the morning on my way to work, and then I went and I worked quite a long day. So we're gonna have to jump into Wealthsimple Trade to see exactly which ones I purchased, and let's do that right now. So here we are in Wealthsimple Trade. If you're not familiar with what this is a trading platform. This is the desktop screen that we're seeing. There's also a mobile app for Android and iOS. It's a commission-free trading platform. So if you're interested in trying it out, you can actually use the link in the description below to get the cash value of 2 free stocks, and I think you could actually hit it big up to $4,500. Most people get like, $10 to $20 or something, but even then it's not a bad way to get introduced to a commission-free platform, get some free cash, and you use that to buy a stock or whatever, and you're already off in the green. So anyways, quickly jumping through my portfolio. We're pretty much flat in the last day, up $156. In the last week, we're up $400, which is great to see. In the last month, huge jump, up $1,600 for 3%. In the last 3 months, here you can see was that big deposit that I made. And we're basically up $2,500 in gains, in the last 3 months. In the last year, we're looking at around 9%, around 4,200. This is actually incorrect. So Wealthsimple, there's something going on here. When you deposit money and it's in limbo here, like you see there's $450 unavailable, it gets lumped into this. So actually, the amount that I'm up is $450 less than this. And it always goes away after this clears, which is something I should probably just email Wealthsimple to let them know, because that's a bit incorrect. Anyways, and then if we look at the all-time, I've had this account for less than a year, so these two are going to be exactly the same. Alright, so like I was saying, let's take a look at the activity tab to see what I actually bought. You can see that deposit in there that I was talking about. And then today, which was August 3rd, yeah, I bought Manulife Financial. I tried to put around $100 into most of these because I had 400, so I bought 4 shares at $23.84 each. I also bought a couple shares in TELUS, 4 shares at $27.90. CNR, I bought 1 share at $135.44. TD, this one has dipped a little bit or started, a bit of a downward run, so I just picked up one of those guys. And then I actually had a little bit of money left in the portfolio. I had like about $40 left, and so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to drop into Severia and pick up some of these. Severia and TELUS are trading right around their all-time highs, which is a little bit dodgy for me, but they also have pretty good performance in the last couple of years, so I'm okay with that. TD, like I said, has dipped recently or dropped off recently, which is pretty good for me, so I picked up one of them. CNR has been on a really strong run, but in the last year has suffered quite a lot, and so it seems like it's a good buying opportunity at the moment. And MFC, we're also seeing a little bit of a dip or a downward play, these days, and that's something that I've been watching out for as well. So now what I want to do is I want to grab all of these, the quantity and the actual market price that I paid, and drop back into the Google Sheet to log each of these purchases that I made. So I come into this transactions tab, which is a big list of everything that I've ever purchased, and I just drop them in one at a time, making sure that I get the exact quantity and amount correct. And once I'm satisfied with that, then the last thing to do is come back and check the summary tab. And mostly what I'm looking for here is the increase in dividend annual income. So basically at the beginning of the video, this was $2,051, and now we're at $2,066. So that's an increase of about $15 per year, which might not seem like much, but really it's tax-free and it's passive. And it's going to increase over time even if I do nothing else. So that's an awesome part. A lot of these stocks that I buy, companies that I buy, have what's called dividend growth. So yeah, they're going to pay out approximately 4% per year. But as their stock price grows, they're going to basically continue paying that, and so they'll raise the dividends that they pay. And this number is going to increase without, if I even stopped today, and yeah, it would just keep climbing. But what I do is I deposit my own money as well. And so this, like you just saw, it just jumped by 15. So it's going to increase from that. And then I use this money as well to buy more dividend paying stocks. So that also increases the amount of dividend stocks that I have, which continues to grow this number as well. So when you combine all of those over time, you get what's called the dividend snowball effect or the compounding effect. And really you get this sort of like very gentle, like exponential growth here. Even if you put in, let's say, a constant deposit all the time, you're going to have, growing income in the future. So that's super awesome. And that's something that hopefully in the future I can live off of once this gets a bit bigger and once I'm a bit older. And yeah, until then, I'm just going to keep growing it and yeah, reporting back to you guys. So anyways, if you made it this far, thanks a lot for watching. And if you like this kind of stuff, if you're interested in dividend stocks or investing in general, leave a comment down below. I always love reading the comments and getting back to everyone. Just let me know, if you bought some dividend paying stocks this week or you're planning to, or something else. If you're investing in something else, yeah, let me know. I'll talk to you guys down there and I'll see you in the next one.